This tutorial will guide you through every feature of your budget spreadsheet, helping you take full control of your money. First, let's get familiar with the layout. The spreadsheet is organized into 6 main tabs: Settings, Budget Planner, Budget Tracker, Budget Dashboard, Assets and Liabilities, and the Individual Dashboard. Before we dive in, remember these 3 important rules. 1. White fields are for your inputs. Any field with a color or gray background is calculated automatically for you, so you don't need to touch them. 2. See those little black triangles in the corner of some cells? Hover over them to reveal helpful tips, tricks, and explainers. And 3. If you spot small arrows on the row numbers, it means some rows are hidden to keep things tidy. Just click the arrows to reveal them. Ready? Let's get started with the most important tab, Settings. This is where you'll set up the foundation of your entire budget. First, set your start year and month. It's crucial to set this correctly from the beginning and not change it mid-year. Then you have the option to turn on Shift Late Income. If you enable this, any income you receive after a certain day of the month will automatically count towards the next month's budget. For example, if you set it to the 10th, any income arriving on the 15th will be logged as next month's income. Next, add the account holders. You can have up to 4. Then define your different income sources. For each source, you can add a beneficiary. This is super useful when the spreadsheet is used by more than one person. If you use it just yourself, add your own name from the dropdown. Then add your savings accounts. One thing to remember about these is that they don't have to be real bank accounts. You can create virtual splash funds here to track savings for different goals, even if the money is all in one place. For each splash fund, you can add a starting amount. This is useful when you've already saved up for some goal or you want to carry over previous year's savings. Then, list your variable expenses. These are the non-regular costs that are hard to predict. After that, define your fixed expenses categories, which are your regular predictable payments. For each fixed expense, you can choose the payment day, payment frequency, and amount. All this helps the spreadsheet remind you of any upcoming bills, so you don't accidentally miss anything. With your settings in place, it's time to head over to the Budget Planner. This is where you'll map out your financial goals for each month. All the labels for your income, savings, and expenses are pulled directly from the Settings tab you just filled out. Your only job here is to fill in the monthly amounts. Here's a quick tip. If you expect the same income each month, just fill out the first month and pull the corner of the cell across the other columns to autofill. The whole spreadsheet is built as a zero-based budget. This means you need to allocate all of your incoming money. It either goes toward covering expenses or growing your savings. At the top of the sheet, you can see how much money you still need to allocate each month. For example, if I were to budget an extra $1,000 of income in January, you can see that it will reflect in the numbers here as well. This shows me that I have an extra $1,000 to allocate. And if I were to go to my savings section and budget that extra $1,000, you can see that the January allocation gets back on target, which is 0. Next up is the Budget Tracker. This is where you'll record all your actual income, expenses, and savings as they happen. When you add a transaction, you'll need to fill in a few key details. First, the date, which has a handy calendar picker. Just double-click on the cell to open it. Second, the type, whether it's income, an expense, or a savings allocation. Third, the category. Pick one of the categories you set in the Settings tab. Fourth, payer/payee. Essentially just who was involved in this transaction. Just pick a name from the dropdown. Then comes the amount. A quick note here. If you're drawing money from a savings fund, enter the amount as a negative number. Otherwise, all other numbers you enter have to be positive, even the expense amounts. By using a negative number for your savings transaction, You draw on your savings account and add money to your current balance, money that you can then allocate to expenses. There's also a balance column that always displays your latest balance. Finally, you have the effective date column. This is only relevant to you when you've turned on the Shift Late Income option in the Settings tab. Essentially, it shows when your late income has been shifted to a new month. On the right side of the Transactions table, you can see some useful stats for your tracker. For example, you can see when you made your last entry and how many days have passed since then. You can also glance at your current balance and what the balance was 30 days ago. Also, and this is very useful if you scroll down a bit, you can see the upcoming fixed payments calendar. Here you can toggle between 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days to see all your upcoming scheduled payments. And now for the fun part, the budget dashboard. This tab gives you a complete visual overview of your financial health. In here, you don't need to fill any cells. All of the data is calculated automatically. You can start by selecting a period from the top header. You can pick any month, a full year, or a custom period. When you choose a custom period, two input fields will appear: start date and end date. Just double-click on each of them to pick the desired date. When you change the period, the whole dashboard will update. On the actual dashboard, you'll see breakdowns of the period income, expenses, savings, and how they compare to your budget. You can also see how much you have left to allocate and your savings rate. Note that the savings rate takes into account even the money you have not specifically allocated to any of the savings funds. Below, you can see the breakdown of each category and how much they make up of your total tracked amounts. For example, if we scroll down to tracked variable expenses, we can see that we spent on groceries exactly 33.5% and on utilities 12.7% of the whole amount. You can see the same types of stats for income, fixed expenses, and savings as well. You also have a graph where you can see total monthly savings. This is the only section that does not update when you change the dashboard period. It always displays all the monthly results. As you can see, a lot of the months do not display anything yet. This is just because I have not filled out transactions for those months. For example, you can see that October shows no savings. But if I were to go to budget tracking and add an income of, say, $1,500 and no spending for the whole month, then the full amount will show up in the graph as well. Below this graph is a breakdown by account holders section, which shows high-level totals for each user involved. Again, great if you have multiple users. And you got your tracked totals, which combines all totals into one graph. It's the perfect way to see your income, spending, and saving patterns at a glance. Now, if you go to the actual tables on the very left, here's what you should know about the columns. First column is item name. Pretty self-explanatory. The second column is called tracked. This shows the actual cash flows for the selected period. Then there's budget. This shows the total budget you've set for the period. After that, you get percent completed. This just shows you how much of the budget you've actually completed. So for income, anything over 100% means that you've actually earned more than you budgeted. For expenses, over 100% means you've spent more than you've budgeted. The great thing about these tables is that as soon as you go over your budget, the color of each row will change. Red in case you're overspending and green in case you've earned or saved more than expected. This gives you a perfect overview of where your money is going. The last two columns are remaining, or expected in case of income, and excess. The first one shows how much of the budget you've still got left, and excess shows how much you're over budget. Simple. Okay, now that you know how to use the budget dashboard, you can move on to assets and liabilities. This is the place where you track your overall net worth. In other words, everything you own minus everything you owe. Your net worth is not just a vanity metric. You can use it to see if you're moving in the right direction. The absolute numbers don't matter that much, but in general, you want your net worth to be growing over time. If it's declining, it means you're living beyond your capabilities. Now, here's what you'll find in this tab. First, There's the savings accounts tracker. Most of it runs automatically, so you don't have to do much here. But if you ever need to make a manual adjustment, maybe you moved money around or something doesn't quite line up, you've got that option too in the adjustments column. Next up is the other assets tracker. This is where you can add all other assets that you own. These can be real estate, other investments, cash, precious metals, or anything else of value. Make sure you don't add anything that's already accounted for in the savings accounts section. One quick tip: try to use conservative estimates here. It's tempting to inflate values, but being realistic gives you a clearer picture of where you stand. Then, there's the loan tracker. This tool helps you calculate your loan balances, and it's also great for testing out what-if scenarios. You can play around with different interest rates or loan types to see how they'd affect your monthly payments. Just remember to switch it back to your real numbers afterward. Finally, the credit card calculator and tracker. This is one of the most powerful parts of the spreadsheet. It shows you how long it will take to pay off your debt and helps you plan your repayment strategy. The golden rule here: always tackle the debt with the highest interest rate first. The calculator will automatically chart out your payoff timeline, but if you want a more accurate picture, you can fill in the tracker manually with your actual balances. For example, you'd want to use the credit card tracker in case your credit card balance jumps up and down from month to month. Just make sure to update the credit card calculator as well, because that's the part that calculates all your interest payments. And finally, we have the individual dashboard. This tab is especially useful if more than one person is using the spreadsheet, because it breaks everything down on the individual level. Here's how it works. At the very top, you'll choose the time period you want to look at. Once that's set, each section lets you pick a specific person from a drop-down menu. As soon as you make your selection, all the numbers update automatically, no extra work required. That means you can quickly see each person's total income, expenses, and savings for the selected period. Also, if you scroll to the right, you can see assets, debts, and net worth broken down on the individual level as well. So whether you're budgeting with a partner, family members, or even roommates, the individual dashboard makes it easy to see how everyone's finances stack up. And that's it. If you need any help, check out the PDF tutorial that's also included with the spreadsheet. If you really get stuck, it also includes my contact details to get in touch. Till next time, happy budgeting.